Hello and welcome to your beginners class today. Now if it's difficult for you to sit back on the heels like I'm doing here, then do sit up onto a support for your Sukhasana simple cross legs. Those who have difficulties in the feet, if you're on a hard floor with a thin mat, you might want to put a blanket underneath your feet. I'm just going to show how that's done. And for those who can sit like this but who have slight discomfort in their knees because of tightness in your quadriceps, that's your thigh muscles, frontal thigh muscles, you can always put a foam pad like that between the two. Okay, so let's make a start. So sitting in your position, either Sukhasana or Vrajasana, sitting onto the heels. Those sitting on the heels, see, can you move those as close together as possible? Have your knees together, your thighs together. Just rest your hands onto your thighs, lift your chest and roll your shoulders back and down. From here, we're going to bring the hands forwards into the Namaskarasana. Thumbs into the base of the breastbone. Allow your eyes to close. So use this time to just settle yourself in the pose. Prepare yourself for your practice. Let the facial features soften. Let the base of the jaw be relaxed. Release your throat. Release your tongue. Observe the breath. Your breath may well start to steady and settle down as you start to get this quietness in your mind, so the quietness can come in the breath and more calm action in the nervous system rather than having the nervous system agitated and frayed. The nervous system becomes smooth and calm. Let the shoulders release down away from the earlobes. And keep the breath fine and even. After your next exhalation, let the head release down. Release your hands onto your thighs. Lift your head and now lift your eyelids. Well done. Okay, so we're going to come first of all into Supta Tadasana action now. So I'm just going to show. You're going to scrape your heels along the floor, stretch the arms down, and then extend them over the head. Those who have difficulties in the shoulders, you put some blankets, bolsters, cushions underneath the backs of the wrists. Okay, so starting out, lying on your back, lift and lengthen the tailbone, draw down with the outer tips of the shoulders, scrape your heels away. Now keep your legs strong and active. Press down with the palms of the hands onto the floor. On an inhalation, take the arms up and over the head. So if there's shoulder difficulties, it will be troublesome getting the hands to the floor. If there's upper back stiffness, again, you'll find that it's difficult to get the hands to the floor. Those who need to put a blanket under the head, please do put your blanket under your head. Now, keep your feet flexed, extend into the inner heels, stretch into your fingertips and push down with the tops of the palms and the backs of the wrists. Breathe. And now bring your arms back down, bend your knees, roll to your right and come up out of the action. Okay, we're going to come now for Ardha Uttanasana and we're going to work to a wall. So if you don't have a wall, you can always work to the back of a chair, back of a sofa. You're going to take your hands to the wall, feet nice and wide, and we're trying to make two sides of a rectangle with the body here. Okay, so come to your wall, middle toe points directly forwards, press down into the outer foot bones and lift your inner ankles. Lift your kneecaps and thighs, lengthen your tailbone down. Hinge forwards and extend your hands to the wall or to your support. So working with your hands onto the back of a sofa is really quite nice, those of you who are working in a living room area. Lift your abdomen, lift the navel towards the spine, don't let your belly fall towards the floor. Broaden, see if you can get as much breadth as you can across the back waist and across the back of the pelvis. So that means we have to spread those muscles across the back body. Now this might be a little troublesome for you, this instruction at this stage. Don't worry about it. It will come. Keep your ears between your arms, push with your arms and activate with your legs. Press down firmly into the outer foot bones and feel that navel lifting towards your spine. Okay, and coming up now. I want you to have a couple of bricks and we're again going to be working to the wall. If you don't have bricks, you can take your hands down to the seat of a chair or to a couple of foam pads. Actually, I'll show here. I'll show from here first and then I'll go to the other wall. So we're going to be leaning back to the wall. Can you see here, my legs are not vertical. My legs are not like that. If you take your heels right back to the wall, you will find that you tip over when you come forwards. So the toes turn in slightly and you're going to place your hands to the wall and you have to kind of lift yourself up the wall. If you've got a very slippery door with gloss paint on it, then you will slide up the door quite easily. These walls, not so much. Okay, so let's do together. Taking the feet wider than hip width, the heels need to be about 15 to 18 inches away from the wall. So that's 40 to 45 centimeters away from the wall. So your legs are at an angle and your buttocks are leaning back towards the wall. Toes in slightly, pressing down into the outer edge of the feet. Lift through the fronts of the legs. Now when we lift, we have to also move this navel back to the spine and you can push forward so that the backs of the legs here, the hamstrings start to elongate up the wall. So we're trying to lengthen those hamstrings. So lengthen the hamstrings up the wall, create the breadth across the back of the leg as well as the length, and take the hands down to your bricks. Shoulder blades down towards your back waist, breastbone and collarbones extending forwards. Keep the back of the neck in line with the spine. So in other words, don't lift the head up like a tortoise. We're keeping the back of the neck soft. The shoulder blades, however, draw down towards your back waist and the navel lifts strongly up towards the abdomen. Keep the breath fine and even. Keep the legs very strongly lifted. Have a look at your kneecaps. Are your kneecaps lifting up? If they're not, then lift them. Okay, bring your hands back to the wall and slowly coming up. Now, if you have a wall to work to, then you're going to work to your wall. And if you don't, then you can just work to the front of your mat. So I'm going to show you both ways of working. We're coming into Trikonasana, and if you're working with your back to the wall, it's a lovely way to work. It gives you a lot of stability, but also it gives you very good alignment. Now, if you don't have a wall to work to, and I appreciate that in your house you may not, you can use the back of your mat as a wall. It's not quite so insistent as the wall would be. So your back heel, that's your left heel, at the back of your left heel goes to the back of the mat. Now this foot is not on the back of the mat because the heel lines up with the instep. But I want you to imagine that the back of that mat is your wall, so that when you come into your Trikonasana, you've got that alignment there. Okay. So standing on your place, turn the toes of your left foot in 15 degrees. The whole of your right leg and foot out to 90 degrees. Get the rotation on the front leg, get this kneecap facing towards the narrow end of your mat. And if you're working here, then remember that the heel lines up with the instep. Okay, so that would be about the distance that you'd be away from the back edge of your mat. Stretch your arms out, extend, lengthen. Now if you're at the back wall, you've got to really feel where that back wall is encouraging you to go. It will be encouraging this right buttock to move forwards. So you've got to rotate and extend, draw up the front leg kneecap, draw up the front leg thigh muscle. Okay, coming up, turn the feet to face forwards and step or jump the feet together. So when we work with the wall, it forces your body into a greater alignment, which often means that you can't go down so far. So don't worry if you find that you're blocked a little bit, because this will just teach you how to go into this with very good alignment, and it means that your pose will improve, and over time you will develop a really beneficial therapeutic pose. Stretch the arms out, lift your chest, and coming into it on the left side now. So those working to the wall, you can stretch the back of the palm up the wall and really get this rotation of the navel towards the back wall. So you're turning your navel away, but don't forget your legs. Press into the outer edge of your back foot. Press into the big toe mound of your front foot. Take your head back to the wall if you're working at the wall. If you're working on your mat, just have a look at your your right eye and look at your middle toe on your left foot. This will bring your head back, those of you working in the center of the room. Okay, coming up, turn the feet to face forwards and step or jump the feet back to the center. Just stand in your Tadasana, take the weight back into the heel bones, lift your kneecaps, lift your thigh muscles and breathe. Okay, so you can probably see that here I've got 4 foam pads, 2 to this side, 2 to this side, and a brick on top of each of those. Now, if you don't have those supports, you can just take your hands to the front of the seat of a chair, or just take them onto the mat if you haven't got these supports. But having a little bit of a height is a nice way to work. Kind of gives us an awareness of where we're going with this pose. So you're going to start out, I'm just going to show you, you're going to start out with your hands onto the bricks, and it might be that the legs are bent at this stage, and that's fine. And then you can walk your feet back. You can see that I've got the heel of my hand just at the front edge here, so that I can really push back and lift my fingers up, and then I'm going to grip hold of the bricks. If you're working to the seat of a chair, obviously you're not going to be able to grip hold of it, but you can press the hands into the front of the seat of the chair. Those of you who are working standard, then just make sure that your middle finger points directly forwards. Okay, so we're going to start. Have the feet hip width apart. You can bend your knees if you need to take your hands down to these bricks. Heel of the hand just hooks over the front. If you've got bricks, thumb and little finger can come over the edges if your hands are large enough. Mine are. Okay. Now we're going to walk back. Walk back, so quite a nice long stride, but you've got to lift as though you're being asked to stand up from this position. So if somebody said to you, right, you can't bend your knees, you've just got to stand up. What action would you do in your body to try and get you to stand up? So that's what I want you to feel. The abdomen moving strongly towards the spine, the frontal hip bones lifting towards the front ribs. So then extend back with the creases of the thighs. Keep the ears between the arms at this stage. Now lift all of your fingers up off the bricks. push back some more, activate the legs more, and then release the hands down. Okay, and we're going to come into Adho Mukha Virasana. So sit back onto your heels and stretch forwards with your hands onto these bricks. You're going to keep your head lifted, but your ears between your arms. Now you work your armpits towards the floor. Keep the sides of the neck soft and long. Breathe. So we're going to come again. Put the hands onto the bricks. We're going to come from kneeling position now, slightly different action. Tuck your toes under and lift up. So first of all, lift your heels. Make sure that your kneecaps are both equal, facing forwards. You can see your ankles, you can see your heels. Make sure that they're equal, that the heels are not swinging in or swinging out. Now imagine you had a couple of ropes, one on each of the top of your thighs, and they're going to pull straight back. So pull those ropes straight back and activate the thighs as you come. Again, keep the ears between your arms. Keep the breath fine and even. Lengthen the side waist, extend the frontal pelvic bones towards the ceiling. So now you're going to just come back and sit on your heels for a moment. So sit back onto your heels for a moment. Lift your chest. We're going to take the bricks off here. Take the knees apart. Take the head down onto the bricks and the hands onto the foam pads. All right, so from here, from the kneeling position, keep the toes together. Move your knees slightly wider than your pelvis. Hinge forwards at the hips. Walk the hands forwards. Take the bricks so that they're just underneath the forehead. The nose is free. Let the sides of the neck, the back of the neck, soften and release. Okay, and slowly coming up. Okay, so we're now just going to ease the back out. So we're going to do this by lying on the floor. You'll bring your right knee in, stretch the left leg out, and take that leg across. Okay, so let's do that together. Lying down, bring your right knee in towards your chest. Hold on to the outside of the right knee with your left hand. Stretch your left leg out. Now your left leg can roll in this. Press down with this right hand onto the floor and just get this opening in your lower back and in the gluteal region. So this is what we started out with, you may well remember. Breathe. Come back to the center. Bring your left leg in. Press down with your left hand onto the floor. Hold on to the left leg with the right hand. Stretch the right leg out and take that left leg over the body towards the right, keeping your left shoulder pegged down. So we have to again relax this gluteal area. We have to allow it to go. Don't just flop the knee to the floor, but see if you can relax in the buttock region, in the back of the pelvis, in the side of the outer side of the thigh. Come back to the center and release. So just bring the knees together, toes turned in, and rest your hands onto your abdomen for a moment and breathe. We're going to stretch the legs out now. Those of you who have a bolster and who like to have a bolster underneath the knees can place a bolster underneath the knees. That's absolutely fine. or put your lower legs onto the seat of the chair if your lower back is not comfortable lying flat to the floor. Then let the feet turn out, let the hands come out slightly away from the body, let the eyes close, and allow the body to just settle and relax. So you're in your Shavasana now. Just let the whole of the front body release into the back body. Let all of the back body soften, broaden, all of those actions that we've been having before where the body melts into the floor. Just let that go. So I am going to leave you in your Shavasana today because the class has come, sadly, to a finish. Please stay in your Shavasana for 5 minutes or 10 minutes if you have the time to do so. It's an important part of your practice, so don't miss it out. I hope you've enjoyed practicing this class. I've certainly enjoyed teaching it, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Namaste.